We still expect a breakdown in the S&P into Christmas. And today is the 14th of December. Since the 5th or 6th of December, the market's gone sideways to down. It's pretty clear in the Dow. It actually went pretty much straight down. The S&P's been a little more resilient. But we still expect it to have a 2-week period between now and the 24th of December where it should fall. Not dramatically, but nevertheless, it'll be a correction. And then we're expecting a decent rally in January. This is, of course, the swing trader viewpoint we're emphasizing. After that, we've said numerous times in the past videos that between now and April, there's probably to be even a decent 10% correction somewhere in there. And if indeed the rally in January is wimpy, in other words, if it doesn't go significantly higher than we've already gone, then there's a very good chance we'll see that starting in February and continuing into late February correction, when another bounce into early March and another decline into April 4th is coming up as a cycle low. Interestingly enough, there's a 171 trading day cycle that's very clear in the Dow Jones, and you can see these little purple regions that I have, those rectangular regions. They are the last 3 or 4 occurrences of this 171 trading day cycle as it has declined. And in 2022, it was a fairly bearish decline. And then after the low in 2022, we had 2 multi-month declines, but they were less bearish. And then the most recent one was even less bearish because the market has been so bullish. And so this one may not be dramatic, but it is likely to exist. In other words, we're still not looking for a super strong, endlessly aggressive bull market between now and April. We're looking for something more of a corrective type pattern. Remember, we emphasize time in our work. It's a cycle-based approach. And we would like to say there are numerous cycles that are always in the market. That makes it more interesting. If it was just one cycle, it'd be very easy. But the trick is to know which cycles are running and which ones are dominating and how they combine together, the mix of all of them together, that creates a more accurate assessment of what's likely to happen in the future. Okay? So there are several other cycles that we need to describe. Number one, we've saying this for weeks. 147 weeks ago, 49 times 3 weeks ago, the pattern is extremely similar to what's happening now. That market repeating the early part of 2022 indicated a decline that would go on in December and a rally in January and then a decline into April, reinforcing the 171 trading day cycle. Now, on the one side, we could see something fairly nasty, which could be a 10% breakdown. On the other side, we could see a market that's much like 1986 going into 1987, where the January rally was so strong that it continued higher until March, and then the April decline was minor, but it was a little pullback in the middle of a very, 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 very strong uptrend. 38 years ago in 1987, the high did come in August. So, on a larger scale, we're still looking for a rally into August of next year, probably making new all-time highs, and that whatever pullback into April will be revisited and new highs made in the second half of 2025. And at that point, we could see a bear market begin. We also have talked about 34.5-year cycle that's been repeating for numerous years. The actual major swings have been repeating. And that calls for a high that comes in January, aligning with July of 1990, which had a very large correction. We don't expect one that deep. But the timing of that lines up with late January being the high and then April being a low in this present market. And also that one is actually 3 times 11.5 years. And the 11.5-year cycle is astrologically significant because it is the synodic cycle. It's the conjunction of Rahu and Saturn, and every 11.5 years they come together, and they come together this coming April of 2025. Actually, April 23rd is the conjunction. And so what you might expect, therefore, is in a number of markets that there's going to be some extreme volatility going into that April point and coming out of that April point as those two planets come closer together and they crisscross and then Saturn goes past Rahu. Okay. Now you've seen pretty much what we're expecting going on through August of next year, and potentially after that, we will probably see a bear market very similar to what we saw in 2001, 2002, going on into early 2027.